production supervisor. Well, we were as a production supervisor. Nowadays, we're more like with the visits because we have been in the process for a while. And you guys, here we are in the highlands, as you can see. We are above like 2,000 meters over the sea level, like 6,000 feet. You were looking at your phone, some of you. And well, I'm gonna explain you about the origin denomination. Okay, well, Manuel is coming. He is one of. He used to be a jimador for 25 years, and nowadays he's working for Patron. He has been with us for like 8 years, but he used to be one of the most like experts in jimadors, and you'll see why we need such an expert to do it. You'll see once we show you the Hima demonstration. It looks like he's literally cutting butter, but it's something very, very hard to do. And well, I'm gonna talk to you about the origin denomination, but before, let me tell you that Patron doesn't own the agave fields. Here we are in the Plasencias family field, okay? Besides the Plasencias family, we have other 9 suppliers, and we have such a close relationship. I'm gonna explain you, well, Arance is gonna explain you more about it, how we make the contracts, etc. But, alright, so, in order to produce tequila, I'm pretty sure that you maybe know something about it, but in order to produce tequila, we need to follow 3 requirements, okay? If you want to produce tequila, it should be produced in specific areas in Mexico, like for example, Jalisco, which is like the main state, and we also have some other states around Jalisco, like Nayarit, Michoacán, Guanajuato, and there is also a small part at the north of Mexico that is called Tamaulipas, okay? We can produce tequila in those states. And besides that, besides producing in those areas, okay, in Jalisco we can produce in the whole state, but in the other states like Guanajuato, Nayarit, there are just specific municipalities where we're able to produce tequila. And besides that, we need to have just one kind of agave, okay? There are almost 200 varieties of agaves. In Mexico, there are like 120 varieties, but there is just one kind of agave that we can use to produce tequila, which is gonna be the Agave Tequilana Weber, okay, blue variety. So besides to produce tequila in the areas you know, in producing this kind of agave only, the agave should be registered under the CRT, which is the Tequila Regulatory Council, alright? So as I told you, we don't own the agave fields, so the suppliers, the agave growers, they have 1 year to register their agave. So they have, let's say, January to December to do it. If you have agave inside of the states I told you, and it's just Agave Tequilana Weber, but that agave has not been registered under the CRT, that agave cannot be taken to produce tequila, alright? And the registration consists on this. An inspector from the CRT needs to come here to the agave fields, and they need to use like a GPS, and they will make like a polygon, and then all the agave that will be inside of that area is gonna be considered to produce tequila, alright? So just the agave that is in that area. Once the agave is going to the distilleries, the distillery needs to ask for a kind of passport, okay? If we don't ask for that passport, and at the end that agave was not registered, even it was Agave Tequilana Weber and it was here, if it's not registered and we produce tequila with that, we have the risk to lose our license, okay? Because that's part of the transparency that the CRT will have, that all these you know, like being producing tequila in that way, the CRT has like an average of how much tequila the industry in general is gonna be able to produce. And if the industry is producing more than that, then we need to check what is happening with that, okay? This is something very important for us because it's not just a spirit, but it's part of our culture. So we need to be 100% sure we are producing under the rules that were established published in the official Mexican law, and that the CRT is regulating, okay? The CRT is not paid by the government, it's paid by the industry in general. So literally we need to pay to the CRT for them to come and inspect that we are following the rules. And then something else. You guys, I told you in Jalisco we can produce in the whole state, right? But talking about Jalisco, there are two main areas to produce tequila. You guys can see the soil composition that we have here. It look kind of reddish. So talking about Jalisco, the highlands is one of the main areas. Actually, like 60% of the agave that we have in Jalisco is coming from the highlands, and the rest is coming from the valleys. But if we compare, for example, the agave from the valleys with the agave that we have here, you guys will see that in the valleys the soil composition looks very different. It's very different actually. It looks more like brown dark or dark brown because it has a lot of organic material, and just because of that, the agave at the end will have different characteristics. The agave from the valleys is gonna be more herbal and more citrus. The agave that we have in the highlands is considered the premium agave. Why? Because we have a lot of iron oxide, and because this kind of soil is like clay. So once it's raining, the filtration of the water is really good, which is something that we actually are looking for, because the agave, you will see, it doesn't need a lot of water. So when you have a lot of water, you can produce fungus or other diseases on the agave. So all the time, Patron is going to be taking agave from this area, okay? Something else, the agave that we have here is going to take like 1 year more to be ready, comparing with the agave that we have also, well, with the agave that you can find in the valleys. Why? Because of the microenvironment that we have here. Now we are, well, I'm under the sun because I was super cold over there. So usually the environment that we have here is going to be colder than the environment that we have or that you can find in the valleys. And because of that, the agave is going to take like 1 year more to be mature, to be ready. And that is going to help the agave to develop or to have the opportunity to preserve or to produce more starches. So at the end, you guys, we just take agave from this area, but it's kind of common to see that some of the big companies from the valleys are coming from the highlands to take agave to enrich their wort, to make their fermentation a bit better than the fermentation that they usually have with the agave from that area. So you guys, something else. One of the reasons because we have a colder or more fresh environment here is because of the altitude. I told you here we are like 6,000 feet over the sea level. In the valleys, they are gonna be like 3,000 or 800 meters over the sea level. So you guys, I don't know if you have any questions so far.
You said it takes 1 year longer. How many years on average?
Well, Arance is gonna explain you more about it, but in average, once we plant the agave, it's gonna take 6 to 7 years, and then the agave from the lowlands is gonna take 5 to 6. That's the average. Anything else you would like to know about the origin denomination, what we do here? Everything good? Okay, so Arance is gonna continue with the reproduction of the agave.
Yeah. Well, the agave comes from the lily family. It's not a cacti, okay? That's an important thing to remember. It's closer to the asparagus, and you can see by the quiote that they look similar, right? So the purpose of the agave is to store sugar their whole life in order to reproduce, okay? This is like a very evolved plant, and it has like 2 ways of reproduction, okay? So one is going to be by flowering, and the other one will be hijuelos. Okay, so I'm going to explain first the flowering. When the agave is already know, let's say like 6 years old, the agave is gonna sprout the quiote, so it's a stem. The stem is gonna grow pretty fast. The quiote is there, so I'll show you when we do the hima. It's that. Oh, thank you.
Oh, there's one over there too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the quiote, and you can see that it's kind of big. It's like a huge asparagus. Thank you.
Actually, Stephen found a quiote like kind of close here.
One right here.
Ah, it's over there. Yeah. We're gonna ask to Don Manuel if he maybe can cut it for you. We're gonna stay here because it's safe.
That way
but
we'll see one
maybe
first.
he's gonna help us with that.
So in this area, it's gonna flower, but because we want the sugar, we're gonna. Sorry, so because we want the sugar, once it grows, we're gonna cut it because it will steal all the sugar. So the quiote grows pretty fast, so it will grow like 1 inch per day. So it's fast and it can grow up to 9 feet. So yeah, so we have to cut it. Okay, so that will be one way of reproduction. And another important thing, all the plants are female and male, so hermaphrodite. So they need the pollen from one plant to pollinize, and they will give the pollen to another plant. Okay, but it's very hard for like humans to do that because the quiote is like very high, and there's like the spikes and everything. So that will be done by bats or insects. Okay, bees. But in the tequila industry, we are not going to use that way of reproduction. We're gonna use the hijuelos. Okay, so the hijuelos are like baby agaves that grows around the agave. Okay, on the roots. So you can see here we have an hijuela.
Huela?
Hijuelo.
Hijuelo.
H.
It's rhizomes, the biological term, rhizomes, but we call them hijuelos. So they will grow. Botanical, yes. They grow around the agave, and each agave plant will give like 10 or 11 hijuelos, but we want the ones that have the best qualities to regrow. So those will be like the ones that have been there for 4 years with the mother, and like the first hijuelos that the plant gives. Okay? Well, the hijuelos will grow as like baby agaves, but we're gonna cut the roots of the hijuelos, and we're gonna take them like carrots, and they will look like this. So, well, these will be like, we have different sizes, okay? Depends on how fast they grow and the age of they have been with the mother. So these will be like lime size. We're gonna see it from the base. That will be like grapefruit size, and this one will be the pineapple size, okay? So this one will be the one that we want because
Yeah, that would be like the best.
Yeah. So on the
Yes.
market, they're sold by their different. They're called the different fruits. So the pineapple is the most expensive. That's
yes,
the.
this will be
the
like
most
10
desirable.
pesos, like 50 cents. Okay, so if you want to grow an agave field, you're gonna take these ones because they'll like be like more healthy, like easier for like the pest and everything. to,
It's
like-
got a good head start as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
and because it's older, the piña is gonna grow faster. So maybe that hijuelo will take like 7 or 8 years, and this hijuelo will take 6 to 7 years. Okay, so pretty much we're gonna be using the pineapple size, and once we replant that, the agave age is gonna start counting. So Mariana was telling you that they have to register the area where we plant the agave. So they are gonna do that once they plant the hijuelo. So that will be age 0.
How deep do you have to plant them?
Not deep, like this deep.
You have
Yeah.
a video.
I have a
of
video
us
planting
planting
them.
agave. We're gonna
Yeah.
show you the video. And it's
So
not that
they
much.
plant very fast. Like we
But the
went to
point-
there and they plant to the field and they plant 30,000 plants like in 2 hours.
Yeah.
They were like
30,000 in 2
Yeah, they
hours.
were super fast. But the point was that all the piña should be inside because that day was really windy. So they didn't want the wind
gonna plant them around this season, just before the rainy season, because they take the hijuelo out from the mother agave, and they are gonna wait like 3 months or 2 months to the hijuelo to dry out, and just before the rainy season they are gonna plant it, and after that it's gonna rain, and the baby agave will give the roots pretty fast. So that way it's easier to have healthy plants. And I'm just gonna tell you quickly about the life of the agave. Let's say that the first year the agave is gonna concentrate on making roots. Okay, so 1 year we're gonna count since we plant. So that will be the first year. From the second to the fourth year, the agave is gonna focus on producing leaves and to grow in size. Okay, and it's gonna produce the hijuelos. Then at the fifth year, the agave will start storing the sugar, and at the sixth year, just before it will have like the maturity, we're gonna take the agave because it has the highest sugar content. Okay?
Question.
Yeah.
When does the quiote come out? Is that just kind of random, or
No,
is
on
that the end of the life?
on the fifth or sixth year,
Okay.
and it's gonna grow during the spring season because it has the more sunlight hours.
So it's basically trying to do what we're doing. Like we plant right before the rainy season, it's trying to give its offspring the best chance. So it springs so that right before rainy season, so that the bulbils can fall and then be hit by the rain. So
Do the male or the female grow the quiote?
it's
No,
it's
they're
a hermaphrodite.
hermaphrodite.
So
Oh,
it's both.
okay.
So there's no. It's not like the quiote. The quiote doesn't spring from every single plant,
Right.
but it doesn't mean because it had a quiote that it was male or that it's
Okay.
female.
Well,
Both are hermaphrodite, and also depends on the age of the hijuelo, because I was telling you that they have different ages.
yeah.
So some of the plants will reach maturity first, and some others later. It's like us, no?
So there are some human beings are super tall, some others like us are super
some
small.
of them.
So it's like that, literally.
Yeah.
And well, for example, as Aranza is telling you, there are some agaves. We're gonna replant the agave, or we're gonna take out the agaves from the mother because of the size, not because of the time that they're having next to the mother. So maybe you will see older baby agave like this one that is gonna be super big, but maybe this one has like 3 years and the other one is gonna have just 2 years.
Some of them grow more than the other.
And that's why some of them will be ready first than others. So at the end, all the agave will have the opportunity to let the quiote to grow. But not all the agave is gonna be growing the quiote at the same time. So that's when we need to do the selective harvest, because maybe some agave is gonna be already mature and some other agave is not gonna be ready yet. But we're gonna make you an example. For example, here in this agave field, we have around like 90,000 plants, okay? And let's suppose that around 10% of the agave is gonna be ready with the amount of sugar, with the size, etc. So if you're an agave grower and this is like your business and you have 10% of the agave ready to be harvested of 90,000, so which that means that 9,000 plants are gonna be ready, and let's say that each plant, the price is going to be in average $30. So you can do the math and you can see how much money you have in your wallet if you do the selective harvest.
And also, like, if you leave them more than 6 months, the plant, if it's mature, it's gonna be over mature, and it's not going to be useful anymore for Patron, especially.
Yeah.
Especially because we're like picky on that.
Yes.
We have some requirements.
No problem, understand.
Okay.
So it's a question of walking the fields and identifying that 10% and harvesting?
Yeah.
All the time. That's why we don't own the agave fields, but we have experts, like agronomists, engineers
Yeah, well-
working for Patron, coming here every single day. Actually, today we have
9 fields. Okay. 9 fields
Like,
that are
but-
being harvested.
Like nine fields that right now are being harvested for Patron.
And so they help the grower to identify what Patron's interested
Exactly.
They know already.
in. Yeah.
They
So it
already
could be
know
one
the
plant here and then one
specifications.
plant that's very random.
Yeah, we call them entresacar. Entresacar.
The selective harvest
Yes.
in Spanish will be like entresacar. Like this one is ready, now this one, this, blah, blah.
That's another benefit for us of not owning all the land. You know what I mean? If this was all ours and we came to harvest it and harvest time came, you have to take everything.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why a lot of brands have their main, and then their secondary label, where they can take their really good agave that they took from their land, and then the stuff that wouldn't have passed the bar for that, they can make their second tier.
To allow them to do
With
one
us, we
harvest.
only
Yeah.
produce we only produce Patron, and so we don't have to do that. We take what we want from the field, we pay for what we take from the field, and then we allow the farmers to sell whatever is left off to other brands.
Exactly. So,
But
we're-
we are the first ones.
We
selecting
get
the
first
agave.
dibs.
so we're
Yes.
going to have like two main harvests. The first one is going to be the selective one, and they are only going to take like the plants that are like that reach maturity 1st, and then they are going to take the second one that they are going to take pretty much all the agave. And it can only survive 6 to 8 months. Otherwise, we'll start a different type of fermentation, aseptic fermentation, and you're gonna see like later that you'll have like red spots. So in Patron, we can take some of the agaves with the red spots, only like 9 red spots, not more. But if you leave the agave in the field, it's not going to survive. So since like a piña costs like $30, imagine like 30 by 9,000.
Yeah, we're paying like how much? Like 14?
Yes.
14
Yes.
pesos
Pesos a
per
kilo.
So
Yeah.
it's like 80 cents or how much? 80 cents of a dollar. Yeah.
Yeah, almost $1
Per kilo.
So something else that you mentioned is that Patron is really strict with all the characteristics that we need. And now that you mentioned that we will accept just like 9 spots, like red. Imagine we have around like 100 leaves in the agave, and maximum we will accept 9 red spots. If we have more than that, we're gonna reject the piña or even the whole batch, even it's already harvested. And we can do that. I mean, we can suggest to the jimadores how to make the jima, how to harvest, how to select the raw material, because we are not paying to the jimadores. The agave growers are the ones that are paying to them. So that's why we need to come to the agave fields and being working next to them and being suggesting the things that we need.
Yeah.
Because
It's kind of like when you guys run your bar program and you get shitty mint brought to you or shitty looking oranges, and if you work closely with your supplier and they know that you're not going to take those oranges, you're going to send them back and you're going to make them bring out more. They stop sending you shitty oranges. So it's not like we have to reject a lot. They know what our expectation is, so they don't bring those to us.
For sure.
And we have agronomist engineers that they come to the fields since the plant is planted until we're gonna harvest. So when the agave is growing, every 3 months they're gonna check the fields, and when we are in the harvest season, or the field is ready to be harvested, every day they're gonna be in the field checking that they are getting the requirements that we wanna have.
Well-
And we're gonna be receiving around 12 trips of agave per day. So each truck has 20 tons of agave.
Are the fields that you work close with, what percentage does Patron actually end up taking at the end of the day during like the harvest,
Um,
as opposed to what they leave
pretty much.
to be sold to other?
Yeah, well, I think we're like the main customer that they have, and well, it's part of the. We're gonna explain you also about the contracts that we do.
But
So they will have like an idea of how much agave we need,
Mm.
you know. So, which means Patron already know, or we already make the contracts for the next 6 years. So it's not like once the agave is ready, we're gonna come and we're gonna buy the agave that they are harvesting or that they are growing. We're gonna let them know like, okay, we're growing in this way, so in average we're gonna need this amount of agave. If they want to grow more, it's up to them. But I think pretty much,
And
I
it
think
also
almost
depends.
100% if
Yeah, and it
belongs
depends
to
on the
Patron.
agave providers because some of them are like very very big, and some of them are small. So some of them will have a lot of fields, and they maybe well they are gonna give first to Patron and then to other distilleries, but maybe the small growers they'll give all the agave to us. So it depends on the provider.
So in old times, people used to just harvest during this season, you know. But nowadays we're working, I think, 50 weeks per year. So the only time when we're gonna stop harvesting is when we need to do some maintenance. And that is gonna be on December, like
Celebrate
the
Christmas.
last 2 weeks,
Yeah, there
because
you go.
Christmas, because holidays, But all the rest of the year we're gonna be producing tequila and obviously harvesting agave. But the best season to harvest the agave is during spring, you know, because we don't have the rainy season, and a lot of people ask if we irrigate the agave, and we don't. It's just like it's gonna survive just with the natural rain, which is gonna be that time during almost at the end of June, and it's gonna finish maybe on October, something like that. And with that time of water, of rain, the agave is gonna be okay. And actually during that time is not like the best time to harvest, because the agave is gonna be absorbing water and the sugar is gonna be diluting. So it's not gonna be as sweet as during this season before the rain starts. And some people also ask if like a bigger piña, the better. And it's not like that. It's just like the concentration of sugar that you have. So usually during the rainy season, the piñas will be a bit bigger, but not because of the concentration of sugar, but because of the water that is absorbing. And that's why I was telling you that for us it's really good to have this kind of soil, because it's gonna let the water to go through. It's not gonna maintain the water, and that's also gonna help us with the pest and with some of the diseases that we have. And we're gonna actually explain you a bit
Yeah.
about it.
And just
Yeah.
before
I just wanted to, so you said you harvest pretty much all year long, so you harvest in those rainy seasons,
Yeah.
and you harvest now. Do you end up having to blend those to keep a consistent product, or you just
No,
put that
It's
out?
exactly the same consistency. The only thing is, if in average we are using, let's suppose, like 6 kilos to produce 1 liter of tequila, maybe to be able to produce 1 liter of tequila, we'll need a bit more of the raw material. That's all, to get exactly the same amount of sugar
so
all
once
the time.
once we harvest the agave, we have like 24 hours to use it, no
Okay.
more, because it's gonna dry out and it's gonna change a little bit. So every day we harvest, we're gonna use that agave. And Mariana was telling you about the diseases that we could have in agave. Eh? Okay. And one of the diseases is called picudo. It's a beetle, like this size, like a bean size with a beak, and it will like go into the piña. So what we do, and I found it like pretty cool. At the first years, we're gonna spray pesticides because the agave is pretty weak, and we need those. But when it gets older, like from the 4th or 5th year till we harvest, we're gonna put tramps every 6 hectares, so every 12 acres. And in those tramps, we're gonna cut agave pieces and we're gonna spray pheromones. So the beetles are gonna be attracted to the pheromones, and then we're gonna have pesticides in that tramp. So in that way, we collect all the beetles without adding any pesticides to the agave. So it's a cool way to prevent that disease. And also they get fungi. It's called aspergillius. And just before the rainy seasons, there are going to be a lot of spores in the fields. So what they do, they put like a big bowl with a petri dish, and that way all the spores are gonna be catching there. So then it doesn't attack the agave. So those are the two mainly diseases that we have in the agave fields. Also, the plant can handle a lot the hot weather. So it can handle up to 60 Celsius degrees. I don't know what's, but like higher than the Sahara Desert. But if it's cold, if it snows, the agave can die. So it doesn't handle a lot of the cold weather, but very hot weather it does. Yes. And yeah, les voy a decir de las minas. ¿Sí? Okay. Mariana was telling you that sometimes we have rainy season, and even though it's raining, it's hard to harvest. We're gonna do it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use mules. So like you see in the movies, they still use that mule. Yes, and the mules, because putting a tractor here is very hard. The mules, well, the jimadores will be harvesting like selective harvest, and the mules, once you show them the road, they'll learn it, and they're gonna come and they'll have 2 baskets. We're gonna put the piñas there, and the mules are gonna come back to the truck.
By themselves.
Yes,
Yeah.
by themselves. Yes, they are smart, believe it or not. Yes. So that's the way we're gonna do the harvest when it's the rainy season.
Is there problems with like rodents or rabbits eating the
Not really. We have rabbits in here, like sometimes, the ones with the white tail.
What we are gonna try to do is when we cut the field maybe because that's the part that it's easier to eat and it's sweet actually.
Yes.
And well, right now, as you can see, the piñas they have certain size, but is what Aranza was telling you. Until like the 4th year, the piñas or the agave, not the piñas, the agave is gonna be focused in just getting bigger. But then the 5th and 6th year, they are gonna be focused in just making themselves wider. Yes. They are not gonna be growing anymore because they are gonna be preserving starches, okay, sugars. So in this field, the average is gonna be 5 years. They are not ready yet for 5 years, I think. 4 or 5 years. So that's why we wanna show you also the hima